my phone so we can keep an eye on that. I don't know if you just heard that announcement in the stream. Someone just made a $3,000 donation to the charity.
Fudge. Okay, great. Well, that's
So-
if that $3,000 donation, I am giving you absolute permission to buy me a drink anytime you want to. Cheers.
I will make sure to do that. Apparently, we are live. We are live on the air, going out to IFC Online. Hello, everyone.
Hi.
Oh, which means I need to stop the stream on my computer so I'm not hearing an echo.
Yeah, the things that go wrong during a con.
It's well, it's a first for us. So we appreciate everyone who's tuning in, and we appreciate your letting us deal with all these glitches and first time whatnots with this. So welcome to Convention Horror Stories with me, Pandez, your convention chair of IFC, and joining me is the amazing, the wonderful, the ever knowledgeable Dr. Conway, also known as Uncle Kage, from the chairman of Anthrocon. Welcome, Dr. Conway.
Thank you very much, Pandez. I'm very, very pleased to be invited to share some of the tales that have been collected over the last 20 years that I've been in this business. People are often contacting me and saying, "Oh boy, I want to start a convention." No, you don't. No, you don't. Really, you don't.
So you say 20 years ago you've been in this business, you say?
Something like that.
So we actually, someone sent in a picture. I don't know if I sent it to Razeth. Hopefully he can put it up for me. It's a picture from literally 20 years ago, 2000, of you.
Back when I was 17 years old.
So I don't know if they could put that in the chat or throw it up on the stream. But if you guys see it, let us know. It's young Dr. Conway. And then, if you saw a picture of me from 20 years ago, you wouldn't recognize me. I'm completely different. You wouldn't want to see a picture of me from 20 years ago. But so, thank you for the comment on the Stewie. Yes, I have a Stewie plush chilling in the background behind me here. Kage has the Ronnie plush chilling beside him on the couch, and I always say this wrong, Cerberus plush.
Yes, Guardian of Heck.
The Guardian of Heck.
Yeah.
See, you got to say that in a Canadian accent. Oh, it's the Guardian of Heck, eh?
Oh, that sounds so sexy when you say it like that.
Oh, it gets down. I've never heard of a Canadian accent being sexy. Thank you so much, sir.
Call me buddy. Call me buddy.
Oh, how's it going, buddy?
Oh, that's great.
So we're going to regale you with some tales today from various conventions over the last, for me, decade or so. For Kage, slightly longer, since he's been in the business a bit longer than I have. And if you know some stories you would like to hear, throw them in the Telegram chat. I may even oblige you. Make sure to @ me so I actually see it. Because if you just put it is scrolling fairly quickly, though I may not see it. But if you @ me in the chat, I'll see it. Would you like to go first, sir? Or is there something you have that you would like to share with the audience?
Oh, I just thought I'd show this off. This is all of the paperwork associated with the lawsuit that was brought against Anthrocon in 2002 by an attendee who claimed that one of the security people had slammed into her on the stairs and knocked her down the stairs and caused her tremendous, permanent personal injury. You can ask Boozy, because this is apparently all a matter of public record, and he's looked through it. I could do this entire hour talking about this nonsense, but I'll just give you the Reader's Digest version.
Oh, I love Reader's Digest.
It started out with her sending me an email saying, one of your security people bumped into me on the stairs and just kept on going. It didn't say a word. And all I want is an apology. Okay. This was a lesson that I learned from George W. Bush, because it was right about this time that the United States had put its foot in its mouth for something. And I sent back a note to her saying, I'm terribly sorry if one of my staff members was rude to you. Very carefully worded. And she wrote back, well, I would like to have an apology from him or from you on his behalf. And I said, well, once again, it is my job to ensure that you had a good time at Anthrocon. And if I failed in that duty, then I am deeply sorry. I did not say, I am sorry that my security guy bumped into you. That is an admission of guilt. See, I don't got to be a badger to know that one. Well, she kept pushing and pushing and pushing. And then finally the lawsuit got filed. It started out, he brushed against her, and then he bumped into her, and then he body slammed her. Every time the story got told, I mean, apparently he came barreling down the stairs and just crashed into her and knocked her clear through a cinder block wall. And Boozy believes that this is comedy gold, her deposition in here, because she started prattling on, saying things like, I had to take a Percocet. And the lawyer said, you had to take a Percocet? You said here that you had no pre-existing injury. Where did you get the Percocet? Little things like that. And at some point in her deposition, her lawyer says, would you like to take a break? And she says, no. According to Boozy, that's lawyer speak for, shut up, I need to talk to you outside. Well, the end of the story is that she was trying to get tons and tons. All I know is that according to these findings, she had been going from one doctor to another trying to get prescriptions for painkillers. And the doctors would say, we can't give you any more prescriptions. She came up with a witness a year after the fact. She suddenly found a witness. It turned out that witness had 2 felony convictions for fraudulently trying to obtain prescription painkillers. My favorite part of the story, though, is we're furries, right? We're all furries here.
Oh, yes.
Now, some of the younger folk may not get this, but the older ones will. The very first step when this lawsuit was filed was I contacted our insurance company, and they sent out an adjuster to get some information from me. That adjuster was from the firm of Oliver and Company.
Now all I can think of is the movie.
Yes, that's the point I'm making. Right? Yes, this is not a joke. It was Oliver and Company. We do this as volunteers. Everybody thinks, ooh, Uncle Kage is getting paid $1 million. Oh, don't I frickin' wish. The only thing I get paid in is booze, and it's usually cheap booze.
I would love to be able to do this for a living, like to just go, you know what? I'm going to stop being a pharmacist, and I'm just going to run conventions for a living. But then there would be so many more stories. Convention horror stories would be a day of paneling. And I don't think I could handle that. I also love that her story changed from he brushed by me in the hallway, like in high school, to a rustler came out and slammed me with a steel chair, like a WWE kind of a thing. So it's like,
yep,
What can you do?
The best part that sadly never happened was I don't exactly know what this lady's cultural background is, but the member of security that she was accusing was African American. And she was using a term to describe that particular heritage, which is, shall we say, out of favor. And she kept referring to this. And this was going to go to court in Philadelphia. Our lawyer was just chomping at the bit, wanting this to go. And he called me one day crying. He said, they asked to settle. We can't go to court now. I said, well, what do you mean? What do you mean? He said, I sent them an offer to settle. And they said, no, we're going to get 50,000 billion, trillion, gazillions out of this. And a couple of days later, he got a fax. You guys know what a fax is? Just checking. Okay.
It's like a physical email.
Yeah, this was a long time ago. He got a fax from another establishment where she had approached them saying that one of their security members had crashed into her on the stairs and knocked her down the stairs and caused her permanent injury. He sent that to her lawyer, who then called up and said, is that offer to settle still good?
We will pay you $1.
They actually paid $5,000, and that pissed me off. Why are we paying anything? And the lawyer said, don't worry. She's had to hire her lawyer. She's had to hire her professional whatever. He said, she's already expended a lot more than $5,000. I said, okay, I'm happy.
As long as what you paid was less than what she spent, then that's good.
So, Pandez, what year was your first official year as chairman of a convention?
As chair. Okay, so that would be, so 11, 12, 14. 2015 would be my first year as chair. I was chair of IFC for 2015, 2016, 2017. And then I stepped down. And then I just came back as chair this year, actually, when the board kind of did a complete flip, and we have a brand new board this year.
You did an excellent job in 2015. I was there because absolutely nothing at all went wrong that year.
I have a feeling something went wrong that year, and I can't remember what it is.
You know why? You have blocked it from your memory.
Probably. Over the years, I've blocked so much. Like, I can remember things from before I was chair, and I can remember things at other cons, but it's like that 3 years at IFC that I was chair, it's like, that is a blank slate, and they do not exist other than the happy memories.
Now, here's where Canadians and Americans differ. He's left with happy memories and has blocked everything else out. I don't have any happy memories from Anthrocon going back to the very beginning. The only things I remember are things that needed my attention. Everything else, it's just there's no room up here for good stuff. I am so laser focused on that moment when the manager of the convention center sees me and says, what now?
That's never good.
When he says, it's only frickin' Thursday morning. There's been some vandalism in one of the bathrooms.
No.
Okay. And so he said, well, we kind of think your people might be responsible. I said, okay, look, we've only just opened, for God's sake. There was groups ahead of us. What makes you so sure it was our people? They opened the door and I looked in. That was our people. Yeah. that. Oh, yeah, just send us the bill. We'll send us the bill.
Yeah. Yeah.
People don't seem to realize that it costs us thousands of dollars a year in damages to kind of apologize to our venue when somebody is, for example, sitting on a sofa in the lobby and has an accident. A hotel can't just send it to the cleaners. They have to replace the sofa.
Yeah, no. Just no.
Well, now, Pandez,
Yes.
if all you have are happy memories, then you're not going to be contributing too much to this discussion. Surely there is something buried deep in your psyche. What is that thing you do not want to remember?
Oh, well, there are stories that I remember. I mean, I'm just trying to, I don't know if I can remember any during my tenure as chair. They're just from my years on the board.
Okay, throw it out.
Okay. Let's see. How about, spontaneous water feature.
Which one was that?
This was back at the Sheraton. That was the one that was attached to the mall. The second hotel after the Hilton, which no longer exists. Rest in peace. They've mowed that hotel down now. But the Sheraton, we were there, and there was a little issue where there was some dripping. And I was like, oh, well, this is a bit of an odd thing, but it was just a big deal. They'll put a trash can there and they'll fix it, and everyone kind of went off to their beds for the night and got up early the next morning and all right, let's head downstairs and check how things are going. And we get down there and there's the hotel liaison. She's like, oh, hey, how'd you like that new water feature in your con ops room last night? And we're like, what, that little drip? That was nothing. She's like, you haven't been in there since like yesterday, have you? I'm like, we just got up. Why don't we come on over and check out your con ops room? So we go ahead and we open the door, and you could see where there had been, apparently they had just shut off just before we got there, a stream of water that had just been coming down into the room. And by stream, I mean it was probably like just like that wide of water just gushing down. The drip had turned into a waterfall. Apparently, someone, a person staying at the hotel, went back up to their room and decided to run themselves a bath, and then laid down while they were running themselves a bath and fell asleep. And the bath ran, and then the water flowed over and started to drip to the room below, which then overflowed to the room below, which then overflowed to the room below, which then overflowed to our con ops room. And we were like, oh, so when we saw that drip, oh yeah, that had been happening for several hours. So I have to ask, the person staying in that room, were they, do you know if they weren't part of your group? Because that's what we want to hear.
I hear the Hallelujah chorus playing.
Hallelujah. Yes. The minute you find out that someone did something wrong, your heart just sinks down into your stomach. And then as soon as you hear, don't worry, it wasn't part of your group, it comes right back into place and you grow wings. And it's just like, oh. Yeah. Oh my goodness.
Yeah, water is something of an enemy of all convention organizers. Sometimes you have water features, sometimes you have unscheduled water features. Something that has happened, unfortunately, more than once at more than one convention that involves water. We love fursuiters, don't we? Fursuiters are great. They're grand. Yes. But fursuiters, we always ask them, please keep your fursuit clean. You need to wash your fursuit because it gets kind of funky. Well, God bless these folk. They diligently washed their fursuit. And they put this wet fursuit, which now weighed like 50 pounds of water, on a hanger and looked for something to hang it from. Oh, there's something in the ceiling. We'll just hang it from that.
Oh, no.
That thing that is in the ceiling is commonly known by the word sprinkler. Now, that's a misnomer. Sprinkler sounds like it's going to give a gentle, warm summer shower. That is a fire extinguishing device. It is designed to deliver the maximum amount of water in the minimum amount of time. It should be called the raging gusher of death. Because when they go off with enough force to scour plaster from walls, to gouge drywall out, and literally drive holes in the floor. And then when you find out, yeah, that was one of our people, they hung a fursuit on the... Don't do that. Just don't.
Do not ever hang anything from the fire extinguishers. Well, from the fire sprinklers. Fire extinguishers are completely different, and we don't need to tell stories about fire extinguishers or fire alarms. I don't think we need to do that at all.
Didn't that happen one year at IFC?
I don't think there's any fire alarm stories with IFC. I don't recall.
Search your feelings. You know it to be true.
There may be several stories related to fire alarms at IFC.
Do I need to remind you?
Do you want me to tell the one from when I was chair or from before I became chair?
So you do remember.
Oh, now that you've said that, yes.
You pick.
Let's see. Somebody has requested double fire alarm, which would be the one when I was chair.
Mm-hmm.
So I want to say double fire alarm was during my tenure as chair. I want to say it was my second year as chair because it's when we had main events in the room over by the bar at the Marriott. Because we thought, we'll try the main events over there. And after that year, we were like, no, we're gonna move it back away from there again. We didn't quite work out how we hoped. But that year that we were there, there was a. I want to say it was in the middle of my panel. I was literally about to go on stage at one point. The three-headed monster, and all of a sudden the fire alarm went off. I'm literally there. Hey everyone, welcome to the panel, and comedy and stand up and yuck 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 yuck, and all of a sudden I'm like, all right, everyone, let's evacuate quickly. And I'm like, great, it would be during my panel. And everyone, and I will say this, all the attendees, we were out of that hotel in like 3 minutes. Like everyone was out of there in like 3 minutes. It was great. And we got out there and everyone was in the parking lot, and the hotel person comes out and goes, oh, it's okay. you can all come back in. And I'm like, oh, what happened? She's like, I'll tell you in a little bit. And everyone's coming back in, and we all filed back into the rooms, and we actually were back in the panel room like another 3 minutes later. So I ended up just having to cut my set short by just a few minutes, and I still got to perform. So yeah. But that happened, and I was like, okay, not a big deal, not a big deal. And then it kind of went off again a little bit later. I want to say, I don't remember if it was late that night or early the next morning. I want to say it was early the next morning, like 7 o'clock the next morning, which I'm not going to say I'm a heavy sleeper, but I may have had a certain red and yellow dragon and another staff member come and wake me up in my hotel room at 9 and go, "We were wondering where you were. You slept through the fire alarm." Oh, apparently I sleep that deeply that the life-saving fire alarm didn't wake me up. That's good to know. And then we got the update on Sunday before we went into closing ceremonies. Like, so do we know, did someone pull the alarm? What happened? She's like, well, apparently they were cooking in the kitchen, and there was a little bit of a grease issue, and it set off the fire alarm. And then it apparently happened again the next morning when they were prepping for breakfast. So we kind of did that. So we're very, very sorry. So it was the hotel, not us. And then during closing ceremonies, we basically said, hey, so that whole fire alarm thing? It wasn't us. And as people were filing out, our AV team, our crack AV team, of course, started playing. So they should have played that when we made the announcement, but we didn't prep them for it. So
I remember that fire alarm. That was the three-headed monster alarm. Did Alkali ever tell you about what he and I were doing at that point?
No.
I remember.
What were you doing?
Getting hot. Under the collar. See, I wanted to see Three-Headed Monster because you are an incredible performer and your team is just, I can't get enough of it. Do you remember they had double doors leading in and out of that room? There were two sets of double doors.
I remember
and one of them had a zip tie on it that was a very sturdy zip tie. And it was keeping the door closed. And I remember looking at that, and I remember I'm Mr. Emergency Services man. And that bothered me a little bit. And I called Alkali over and I said, what the hell is this? And he said, dude, I don't know. And I said, well, for Christ's sake, there's 3 exits from this room. This is one of them. What would happen if the fire alarm went off right now? Cue. Just like that. And I looked at Alkali and he looked at me like, did you do that? And I said, let's go outside. We'll discuss it there.
You have magic powers. I have people commenting in the chat. No, I did not lose a bet. If you look very closely, I do have a full mustache. It just grows in white on one side. And It grows in black on the other. Just like my fursona is like a regular pattern panda on one side and a reverse pattern panda on the other. And for some reason, my mustache has genetically decided, oh, so we're just going to be our fursona now. So there's your answer, chat.
Battlefield.
You, of course, have any number of stories that you could possibly tell. I wonder if there's any that perhaps you might have lost and then found again.
There's a lot. Similar to what you just experienced, there are times when I'll be, riding a bus, or I'll be at work, or sitting here in my living room watching television, and like a traumatized Vietnam veteran, I'll have a flashback and I'll be back there. And I'll remember it. Indiana is known for its sometimes exciting weather. Am I correct?
Oh yes. We've had our share of exciting weather both before and during the convention.
Well, one year during the convention, I can't recall which hotel it was. It might have been the Hilton.
It was the Hilton, if it's the story I think you're telling.
That one, yes. My story hour was going to be at 9 p.m. and the weather was starting to kind of rock and roll outside. The room had been an afterthought. Apparently, they decided, we need a place to put lots of people. We're just going to build this outbuilding and then build a nice rickety walkway and line it with glass windows. I got up on stage and there were maybe 300 people crowded in this octagonal room, which had really big picture windows all around up top, and I could see the clouds moving and I could hear the wind. And what was going through my mind was, what the hell am I gonna do with all these people if those windows start breaking? And okay, it's happy-go-lucky, jolly Uncle Kage telling his stories. And at the same time, running through my mind is the scenario, okay, tell people to get under the chairs. They're not going out into that hallway. That's all glass, for God's sake. I'm sitting there trying to think of how to keep these people safe. Fortunately, nothing happened then to us. But there was an empty seat in the front row, a friend that said he was going to be at the story hour and wasn't. And at first, I was selfishly a little put out. But that friend was Lemonade Coyote. When this weather had hit, he, by instinct, I guess, got himself ready. He was a medic. There was a terrible catastrophe at the Indiana State Fair. That same wind that was worrying me destroyed the stage at the Indiana State Fair. Lemonade Coyote was the first responder on scene. A heroic young man that we lost far, far, far too early.
Yeah, I remember that the stage collapsed, and actually, weirdly enough, they ended up putting up the band Sugarland in the hotel that night, just for the night, because they had nowhere else to go. They were just like,
I forgot about
"Here,
that.
you're going into this hotel." And funny story, that hotel, before it was a hotel, was a hospital, and
What?
that was a hospital before it was a hotel. And that octagonal room was, I want to say, the ER, which is why it was odd shaped. So they had like all the bays around people could shift patients into before being wheeled into where all the rooms were.
I thought you were going to say the morgue.
Oh God, no! No, the morgue is always downstairs, never on ground level.
Was it the Sheraton that had the sculpture out front that I called the visceral horror of the Gilded Children?
Yes, the visceral horror of the Gilded Children. That's in, I want to say, someone's music video that they made at one of the conventions. It was an interesting sculpture.
I guess it was supposed to depict children at play. And they're like hopscotch and, doing crack the whip and everything. But the expressions on the faces of these children were contorted in agony and horror. It looked like they were being tortured. And I thought, did some maniac torture these poor children to death. And at the moment of death, he like covered them with metal. And inside these sculptures, you're going to find the bones of these poor lost children. Got it. I got it somewhere. You got to see it to believe it.
That's exactly what it looked like. Like they had just been flash frozen in bronze.
Yep.
And it was creepy as...
There's one little boy in particular. Just the grimace on his face. He's like playing with his friends, and this expression is just like that. It's like, oh my God, this is a very distressing sculpture.
Yeah, I mean, not gonna lie, I loved our hotel liaison for that hotel, but Tanya,
yes.
Tanya.
Oh God,
I miss Tanya so much. I mean, I love our current hotel. I absolutely love our current hotel, but Tanya was fantastic. She got a persona by the end of that first year, because was it the first year we were there at the Sheraton that we had the no, were you there at the Sheraton?
No, I was never at the Sheraton.
No, you weren't. Okay, never mind. The year that we had another group with us at the Sheraton, she had a persona by the end of that year.
Oh, what group could this be, and how did Tanya play a part in that story, Pandez?
Oh, Ebony Fullbuster, you know exactly where I'm going with this. Sometimes you share event space with other groups. Like if you're lucky, you can sell out the whole hotel and you have run of house is the expression, where you have all the convention space, all the hotel rooms, you've got everything. You don't have to worry about interacting with any other groups. It's all yours. Sometimes it'll be like, when you're at IFC, we had a group of softball children with us who were actually in the Little League World Finals. But let's not talk about that.
That's a little too bad for this talk, yeah.
But we happened to be there at the Sheraton. It was either I want to say it was our first year at the Sheraton. And we were there. We were having a good time. We had quite a bit of space, but they were really big hotels, so we didn't have too many rooms. And they had a lot of other convention space on another floor that another group was using. And this group happened to be a group of fraternity brothers that had gotten together for an event. Like, oh, we're getting together to discuss, all this fraternity, blah, 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 blah. And sometimes groups get along. Sometimes they don't. And initially, things did not go so well. First, there was, the standard, early 2010s teasing that you might have gotten. It's like, oh, you're furries, oh, look at those fursuits, and oh, they're wearing ears and tails. It's like, yeah, whatever. We're just gonna walk around. We're gonna do our thing. We're in our convention space, whatever. But it was a shared lobby and shared elevator system, so you couldn't not interact with the other group. Well, unfortunately, it came to a head with a particular event that happened on the elevator. A bunch of furries went to get on the elevator, and some of the frat boys were on it, and they went, "No, you may not come on." And the furries were like, "What do you mean you can't get on the elevator?" They're like, "Nope, take the next one." And as the doors were closing, the group of fraternity brothers yelled out, or someone from them yelled out, "You ain't Rosa Parks, you're not getting on this bus." And the doors closed. So at this point, we were like, this was then brought to the attention of security and con ops, and we had gotten a list of all the, the little tiny complaints, and we're like, okay, we're building a list. This little complaint isn't enough. This little complaint isn't enough. And then that one came in, and we're like, we have drawn the line. We are calling Tanya. Tanya was
I want
our
to
host.
point out this, just so people realize, Tanya was an African-American lady, very, very nice and attractive African-American lady.
A wonderful, young, skinny African-American lady who...
Hey, she was hot. There. Okay, I said it. I'm a dirty old man.
She was foxy, which is why she got a fox persona by the end of that weekend. I'm not going to lie.
Sorry, continue. I'm getting excited here.
So we brought her in, and all the board members are there, and we're like, oh, Tanya, well, we need to let you know this happened. And then the last incident, the elevator, and you ain't Rosa Parks. You're not getting on this bus. And she kind of was just staring at us the whole time like, oh, I can't believe this group is doing this. I can't believe this group is doing this. And then we told her that last story, and she went, oh, hell no. And she ran, like, she was road runnered out of the room. It was like, our head of finance was nearest the door, and he was like, no, bye. Like, she was gone. Within like 15 minutes, there were signs everywhere, all fraternity brothers. There is an emergency meeting in ballroom, whatever. In 20 minutes, be there. I guess they had a little discussion about their behavior and how not to behave with other groups. And their behavior ceased. It no longer became a problem. It no longer became a negative problem. They were no longer bothering our attendees. They actually started to get along well. And this is the reverse side of that. For you see, in the lobby, the shared space, people were hanging out in various groups. There was a big table, like a huge table. And it had like sockets in it where you could charge stuff and whatnot. And at one point, several hours after this, there was a group of fursuiters. Kage says, bless you.
Thank you.
There was a group of fursuiters lined up on one side of the table, just chilling there with their fursuit heads.
They were on.
No, they were on, but they were drinking in fursuit. And a couple of fraternity brothers came over, sat down at the other side of the table, and they started drinking. Like, hey, how's it going? No, how's it going? Fraternity brothers started going, take them off, take them off, take them off, take off the fursuit head. Fursuiters were like, meh. Take off the fursuit head, put it down. We're all still drinking. The fursuiters are like, put them on, put them on, put them on. So the fraternity brothers are wearing the fursuit heads. The fursuiters are wearing the fursuits. They're all drinking. And a crowd is starting to gather. More on every side, more on every side, more on every side. Now, I did not witness this event because of a different story, which I'm not going to tell. But as told from my head of finance at the time, Todd, he walked out of a panel that I stumbled out of, and he walked down the hallway to where there is an overlook where you could look from the second floor over into the lobby. And as he's walking towards, he's hearing drink mother, drink mother, drink mother, drink being chanted by apparently hundreds of people in the lobby. And he's like, I should investigate. And he walks over and goes over to the railing and looks over and sees all of this. He looks up, and at the other side, there's another little overlook where you can look over, and he sees the head of security and goes, and head of security is like, points down to the front desk people. Todd looks over, sees the front desk people. The front desk people are standing there taking pictures and watching and having a good old time. And Todd's like, gets their attention. Finally, they look up and they're like, he's like, and they're like, he actually ends up calling down from the ops room and just being like, I just want to make sure this meant you're fine with it. They're like, this is the first time they've gotten along all weekend. Let them drink. Now, I think you had a part in this story, didn't you, Dr. Conway?
Well, you know I don't like to blow my own horn, Pandez. But I, shall we say, greased the wheels. I lubricated the situation. I offered lube to the situation. Because that evening started out, that big table that you were talking about, the frat boys, now remember, I'm a college boy myself from years back. See this? Yeah. And it kind of took me back seeing these frat boys like, oh, isn't that adorable? They had a big, like punch bowl that had what was obviously an alcoholic beverage in, but I was watching them mix it up and I thought, seriously, guys? Really? It's 90% fruit juice. And they're all drinking out of it. And, oh, look at us, we're drinking and we're drunk and we're frat boys. Yay, we're drinking. Ha, 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 ha. I just kind of wandered up behind them and one by one they started to realize there's a creepy old man standing here. Wait a minute, he's one of those furries. And they got quiet and they all looked at me and I said, oh, excuse me. I picked up the bowl. I went, you boys are amateurs. And apparently that endeared me to them and by extension endeared the furries to them. That's when the fursuiters came over to kind of like see what was going on.
Now, I don't normally promote the fact that this video exists, but if you search YouTube for furry frat party at Indie FurCon, you will find video footage of this. And you will find that it is uncensored as opposed to the censored version I gave you.
Pandez.
Yes.
What is your favorite elevator story? From any convention.
Elevator story?
While you're pondering, I'll tell mine.
Yeah, I don't think I have one, so please, I'll think of one, but I'll think if I have one. But
search your feelings. You know it to be in there. You've merely blocked it from your consciousness. Maybe you need a little psychological lubricant. That will work.
I probably do. Go ahead and tell yours, though, and I'll see if I can drag mine out of my memory.
Years and centuries and decades and minutes ago, there was a hotel in Philadelphia called the Adams Mark Hotel. That is where Anthrocon called home for 4 years. The Adams Mark Hotel was our home for 4 years. The Adams Mark Hotel was showing its age even at that point. I had chosen the Adams Mark Hotel because it had been the home of PhilCon, the Philadelphia Science Fiction Society, who I do want to point out, Anthrocon owes its very existence to PhilCon. They They loaned us equipment. They gave me advice. They pitched in to help out. Without PhilCon, Anthrocon would not exist. So when I kind of, point little playful jibes at PhilCon, it's with love. I want to make sure folks know that. I basically stole their hotel. The Adams Mark had 4 elevators. And the security crew gave names to the elevators. They were Hades, Sir Speedy, Confused, and Bob. Hades, you would get into the elevator and it would take you to your floor. Only the interior doors of the elevator would open. The exterior doors would not. You're now trapped inside. Sir Speedy could get you to the 23rd floor in exactly 15.5 seconds, regardless of whichever button you pushed.
Amber, right?
Confused was a little slower, and he would just take you to a random floor, regardless of what button you pushed. It might be your floor. It's like buying a lotto ticket. Bob, when Bob reached his floor, he would stop about 2 feet above and drop down and then up and then and kind of come to an equilibrium. There was a young proto-Dorsai there. It was, as a matter of fact, Renegade's daughter, Samantha. She was just a kid. I think she was 11, maybe 12 at the time. Okay, brand new Dorsai. What? Oh, we'll break her in by kind of putting her on elevator duty. Her job is to kind of keep the lines in order going to the elevators. Easy, right? This child is Dorsai. They came back and found that little Samantha was taking bets on which elevator would arrive next and was actually collecting, shall we say. She was collecting money. She was collecting candy, pixie sticks. People would bet 3 pixie sticks, and if they won, they'd get the pixie sticks and some money back, and if they lost, she'd get the pixie sticks. Since that time, the Dorsai have called her Bookie. My understanding is that all of the physical cash she collected, and there was a substantial amount that she collected from her little escapade, she donated to the charity, but she kept all the candy for herself.
Well, I mean, you have to keep all the candy. I mean, you can't donate the candy to charity. That's how it works.
You could, but hey, she's a darling.
Well, we are down, unbelievably, to our last 5 minutes, so we probably only just have some quick fire things now.
I still have. Okay, I'll try to finish this. Oh, you're right. Last 5 minutes. Okay.
Any quick fire super radio calls maybe that have gone out where it's like, hey, that may not have been the best thing to say over the radio.
Yes.
Would you care to share any?
Back to the earliest days, we used to use FRS radios. Now, Anthrocon now has its own radio frequency, and we've got, it doesn't matter. We used to use FRS frequency radios. They gave me one that had the curly Q Secret Service, whatever in the air, and it had a button that I just clipped right here. As a matter of fact, this exact same lag code, it was clipped right here. And if I wanted to talk on the radio, I'd push the button. What the heck? What do you mean? I'll be right there. Well, this was back in the Adams Mark days, and I was very stressed back then. Now I'm not stressed anymore at the con, but I was very stressed back then. There was a lady had a massage chair. You know, the massage chair, you go in, you lean in, and she does this. And I didn't want any part of it. I'm sorry, miss. You're very, very kind, but I'm very busy. I have a lot. She forcibly took me, pushed me into her massage chair and started doing this. And I was complaining. I really don't know how to. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, God. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah. More like that. More. Yeah. Harder. Oh, God, yes. Oh, God. Oh, yes. Harder. Didn't realize that the chair had this pad where the button was, and I was leaning on it. And as I was sitting there enjoying the massage, a hand just came in and turned off my radio and then retracted.
Oh my goodness. I'm getting requests for oatmeal. I don't know if I can tell that in 3 minutes.
No, you can't. I'm afraid that
takes a good 6 or 7 minutes.
That's more than 3 minutes.
There was a, well, it's not really a kind of horror story, but there was a particular Kage story hour at IFC where you were up on the stage and there was no wine. And you were up there and Alkali is running around going, there's no wine in here. Why is there no wine in here? What is going on? Why? What? He gets on the radio. There's no wine. There's no wine in here. Kage is on the stage. It's due to start in 1 minute. We have 1 minute. We need the wine in here now. What's going on? Hurry, quick. We need it in here, stat. And at that exact moment, the doors flung open to the noise of AV playing. Hallelujah. Hallelujah. And a procession of your wine. A goblet filled with a chalice or something filled with ice to keep it cool.
Talking.
And Dragor carrying a wine opener, holding it in a very interesting position, made the procession all the way up to the stage. We each bowed before you and presented you with the holy sacramental wine. And Dragor gave you the
wine glass that was this big.
The giant wine glass. The giant comedy wine glass that we used to have. That was fun times. Okay, we are down to our last minute, Dr. Conway. I feel that we could keep going on forever, but unfortunately, we do have another panel coming on after us. So, any last words you would like to say?
Simply to thank IFC for making this possible. I was a little nervous. I was a little skeptical that this whole Discord bullshit was going to work, but you guys made it work, and my glass is raised to you for it. So please forgive me for my early skepticism. I was in the wrong.
I mean, not going to lie, I was right there with you. I wasn't sure if we were going to be able to pull this off. And
the correct response is, oh, yes, we knew all along it was going to work perfectly. When are you going to learn, my boy?
Yes, we knew exactly this would be fantastic. It was great. Thank you so much for being here with me on Convention Horror Stories. Thank you, every single person who tuned in to the stream today. Thank you, everyone who's been donating to the charity. I believe we have, is it Dragor up next, I believe, doing the Doom tournament. Please correct me if I'm wrong on that, Rayzeth. Lawyer Horror Stories, I'm wrong. Boozy Badger is doing Lawyer Horror Stories literally right now. So,
off you go.
I'm gonna shut up so we can go over to Boozy, or he might sue me. So, good night, everyone.
Silver Gato Man, he bought me a coffee. Silver Gato Man, here is the song for thee. He likes to video all the panels at the cons. You should go and watch them whether they are short or long. Silver Gato Man, you video that's not a jibe. All of you go to his YouTube channel and like and subscribe.